to the next level, and there we go. So
There we
you and
go.
I decided that we would have a conversation on, well, this is the first time, so it'll be on a regular basis if we like what we go with. But I think we will, because we like each other, and that's we think other people might like us too. So we're gonna hang out together, have some coffee. We have no idea what we're gonna talk about because we the only thing we planned is to bring coffee. And believe me, it was hard to get up at 6 a.m. when I went to bed when I did. But I've got my favorite coffee cup. It's United States Navy.
Oh, hoorah. I have my favorite one too.
This was given to me by my son, who is in the Navy.
Hmm.
And he's stationed on the USS. Well, am I even allowed to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I'm just going to keep that quiet because
Yeah.
that's how he'd like it. That's how he'd like it. Let's just say he does work on a big ship. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. It's more, yeah. He does very complicated work on a big ship. I'm real proud of my son. He did the work right out of high school. He went in and he's what they call a Navy nuke, EM, nuclear EM. So he figures out what happens with the electricity after it gets generated.
You know the craziest thing about it, Carl? A lot of people don't even know that I went to like the same type of school, but it's for like broadcasting and journalism. It's like, what?
But it was intense. A lot of people washed out. My son is gifted that when he reads something, he remembers it particularly well. And it's interesting because when he was younger, he had a real problem with reading, but then once it clicked and he got it, then like his reading shot up, and now he really likes to read. But
Carl, I think I experienced the exact same thing on my side. I used to stutter.
Okay.
And I had to take speech therapy school. And my dad was labeled special education. So I like had a lot of labels coming out the gate, bro.
Yes. Jake, both of my boys had speech therapy when they were young. They struggled with certain words and sounds. Both sound fine now, but they grew out of that. But they both went to a lovely speech therapist who loved on them and taught them how to say certain words the right way. Yeah. She, bless her heart, she's a sweet woman. We were blessed to have a great speech therapist. Oh my God. You know what that is?
That was, instead of a mic drop, that was a bell ring. Shout out to her. Because again, that was my problem. And even when I went to college, I had to take another test because they didn't think that I could learn like another foreign language. And I wound up taking 6 years of German, but it was like the whole process. I'm like, am I dumb? Like, am I smart? Like, what's going on? I didn't know how to respond to that. Nobody could help me out. And at least you stuck with it and we're just like, yo, we're going to figure this out. And I don't even know how I did. So when people say, hey, you speak so perfectly, I'm like, I was the guy who went to the speech therapy classes. And even sometimes when I get super excited, you can hear me stuttering.
I can see that, one thing it teaches you is one of my favorite comments about stuttering is I saw a speaker and he goes, yes, the good thing about me speaking is everybody hears what I have to say at least 3 times before I've said it.
Hey, I never see that's a positive way. I never thought of it that way until now. I mean, for me, that's positive. I'm so powerful. I have to say it nice and say it twice. I mean, hey.
This guy was very funny. He was he was a speaker. I've been blessed to see a lot of good speakers over the years, and I remember him. Like, you remember the speakers that are different. You don't remember the ones that are just like everybody else or just like you. You remember the ones that are different. So when you think about marketing, which ones do you remember? Do you remember the ones that were just like everybody else? No, you remember ones that are different. And I think like the Geico insurance company drives all of us nuts, but at the end of the day, they're making a lot of people laugh,
Right.
and their stuff's different. Like, like everybody's seen a Geico commercial they've laughed at just because it's bizarre, like they always take something out of left field and kind of make it center. And, I don't know how that makes for a better insurance company, but they do make people laugh, and insurance isn't something that's typically thought of as funny.
Hey,
Insurance usually turns people off. The
right.
first time they hear insurance, you're like, forget about it. But when the Geico commercial comes on, you're like, oh, what are they going to surprise me with today?
See, so I'm a recovering insurance guy. That's why I started Moist Marketing.
See, so you knew that to get to break through, you got to have that pattern interrupt, right?
100%.
Like that's the, I've studied in marketing, know that like you got to get the pattern interrupt. If nobody's paying attention, I'm scanning, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, that looks bizarre. What the heck's that?
Right. I captured your attention. That's all that matters.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, it's like the what? Wait a minute, slow down. Let me see this thing. It's like an accident on the highway. Nobody ever goes past those, because it's different. It's a pattern interrupt, and they cause traffic jams and backups. So we kind of like that stuff.
Yeah.
Traffic jams are really good when you're a marketer. Like they're really good. Oh, there's so much traffic. I can't keep my website up.
Hey,
that's the kind of problem people really love.
Carl, hold up. How dare you give us those morsels of nutrition, those big dank bars of genius right there? How dare you do that? What? You gave us a buffet right there, bro. Now everybody can eat off of
that. I'm all about feeding the people what they need, man.
And I'm launching that with my boy too. What You Need TV. That's exactly
what you need TV. I like that.
That's what I'm saying. We got some dope stuff coming through. See, it's easy. I told you, bro. It's hitting. Carl,
it's gonna happen. Like we had a sense that this might work.
We had to wait till the systems were set up.
Yeah, the world wasn't ready for you and I until today.
Yeah. They ain't got no other choice.
Mark this day. It says right here, 3/3/27. 7 is like all the fingers on one hand and a peace sign.
Yep.
That's 7. 3/27, 2022. So that's a whole lot of peace signs flashing.
Oh shoot! That's what's up.
So we're bringing this piece together. We're piecing this thing together. We're piecing it together. Like we're bringing the magic to this field of energy called the internet, live, Zoom. Zoom.
Shout out to Lana.
How many people listen to Zoom over the last 2 years where they're stuck in some boring school? And the teachers, well, today, class, we're going to learn what 2 + 2 is. The way that I want you to understand it is just going to equal 4. But we're Freddie and Carl, so we're like 2 and 2 is peace. Peace coming together, baby. That's us. Peace.
We come in peace. Peace.
So,
hey,
teacher didn't say, how much is, teacher didn't say, if you have one peace sign, another peace sign, how much peace is there in the world? Well, there's enough for everybody. That'd be 4. So now you got your answer memorized.
Boom. So it ain't live, it's Memorex up in my head. Because again, man, those people got those tapes, and that's what we got to do. We got to defrag that hard drive,
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of viruses running around in people's minds today, too.
Oh, bro, hold on for a second. Look, dude, hold on. You said something. You hit the nail on the head.
All right. Well, it's all up to me to entertain you now because he took off.
No, bro. Here it is. Look. I read this book back in 2007 or 8.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro.
I got another one. Hang on. Hold on. Now we're pulling.
Oh, we got a book battle up in here.
Well,
they're all getting out the crates. Carl's going through the crates. Hey, what year are you taking me back, man? I went
Oh no,
2007.
this is, I don't know if it, I think, one of the last books that Bernie Dorman, the great late supermarketer Bernie Dorman
Yep.
wrote was about mind viruses, and healing our world. Like guy was dope, right? Did you know Bernie?
Yeah, well, I shared a stage with him, and shout out to Eric Zuli because me and him have been rocking together for a long time,
Okay.
and he's one of the super connectors of my background, and he put me on stage with Bernie. We started talking and became friends, man.
Well, that would be Bernie, because I don't think Bernie ever met any normal human being that didn't want to be his friend, because that's Bernie.
Yeah,
Um,
good dude.
like he had a heart of gold for helping people, and he was CEO space was his thing, and yeah, Bernie was pretty amazing in many ways, and I think he could sell, ice cubes to Eskimos. He's one of those guys that just would have quite the story about the Eskimos, and how they needed ice, and
Yeah,
he'd make sure that they had it,
yeah.
and but just had a heart for helping people, and I think I was definitely blessed to meet him. I met Bernie around 2008, 2009.
Mhm.
Mhm. Unfortunately, Bernie passed. He was one of the people that didn't make it through COVID. Unfortunately, he was in the high risk category, and it got him. It sucks. We lost a good one there.
Yeah. And Easy was like, yeah, Easy, yeah, Bernie touched a lot of people. He says Bernie was my mentor and very, very close friend. Rest in peace, Bernie. Fred, you need to show. Yeah. So yeah, basically he was that's who I'm partnering with on this journey, because it's just like I've known Easy. He's a good dude. He's a sweetheart. And he's been like us, just fighting for what's right and just trying to help people out and just doing people a solid when you need them, man.
Hmm.
And I don't mind publicly, just even on and off camera, like that's my dude, for
Yeah.
real.
Oh, he was real. Like Bernie was a good Christian man. Loved people. Really loved people, and sometimes that gets the better of you in one way or another. Maybe we could talk a little bit about like fear and what people, Bernie would talk about fear storms.
Mm,
If something was like something came up where it was hard to deal with something, he would talk about people, taking on their fear storm. Like you like I most people when they go on a big stage, they have a little bit of a fear storm in some way, shape, or form. Like I used to be tremendously afraid of public speaking. I wanted to do it, but I was always afraid. And there was like this fear that came up that, I wouldn't be enough, or I wouldn't be, I'd make an embarrassment out of myself or something like that. And, um, so that's like a fear storm, and that all changed for me though, when I realized that if I'm speaking and I can help somebody, and if there's just one person going to get the one thing they need when they're with me, then it's my duty to bring my best to those people. And that does not involve fear, um, that does
wow.
not involve fear. Like that's what you want to bring, is the best you got for people, so that you don't, if you're concerned about helping others, you're not concerned about your own insecurities. You're just going to step up to the plate. If there's a bear attacking your family, you're going to let the bear attack your family. You're going to grab the biggest stick and go at it. It's like, get out of here, bear.
You
You know,
you're hitting something interesting on the head though, bro. And it's what I'm hearing is your certainty. Like, how are you so certain like that's the answer? Because you're very matter of fact about it, and I want to catch that.
why are you so certain? There's a faith that builds up in life if you keep on the faithful path, and this is something young people don't really get a lot. Like people been around the block a few times are like, keep the faith. This is the right way to go. young people struggle in their faith because they haven't had good role models ahead of them a lot of times. You know, we live in a culture that values things that aren't like um, deeply important. You know, there's a lot of superficial importance in the world around us, and the things that are deeply important get ignored because the superficial is what gets looked at. Because let's face it, we live in a world that, like we were talking about, pattern interrupts earlier.
Yeah.
The world's really, really good at giving you pattern interrupts, and Satan would like you to have some pattern interrupts too. You know,
Mhm.
like the spiritual warfare battle is real, and if you don't think it's real, I got news for you. It is. You know, like there's somebody wants to take you away from a relationship with what matters. You know, number one, your creator. You know, the one that put you together, the one that designed you. You know, like that to me is real, and that is where your reality comes from. Is, you know, everything you see here on earth was given to us. Everything that you have mentally, physically, is a blessing. uh, you sometimes don't know it, I don't know it, but it's to each of us to use those blessings we have to bless other people, make their time here better, make them understand what's around us better. So I think it's spiritual awareness and growth that gives you inner confidence. I don't think it comes from another place. You could be excited about certain things, but when it comes to like the root cause, I'm going to say it's your spirituality that gives you confidence. Because when God puts something upon your heart and he gives you a dream that's your dream, like you're going to share that with the world because it's what's meant to be. You don't let something stop you from doing what you want to do when what you want to do is what God wants you to do, you know. And when you know that, then God puts it on your heart. It comes from the core. You know, it doesn't get deeper than what God puts on your heart. God gives each of us dreams, and he gives each of us inspiration. He gives each of us the tools that we need to help other people. And he gives a God provides. You know, he talks about, you know, providing for the sparrows in the bush, right? Like not one of his creatures goes hungry, right? Those birds don't wake up knowing where their food is. They just know that God's provided an abundance for them. And he says, how much greater are we than the birds? You know, like he's provided for us. So it's important to share that message with people so that you know, they lead their life on the right path. Part of us being provided for is that we provide for others. You know, Jesus at the end is, you know, there's going to be people that he's going to say, I knew you not. You know, you talked my name, but I knew you not. Why did he not know you? Because he says, as you treat the least among me, so you have treated me. You know, and he says, the greatest law is love the God your Father with all your heart and all your mind, with all your soul, and to love your brother as you love yourself, or love your neighbor as yourself. Well, who's your neighbor? Your neighbors are people on the internet right now with us. It's your people that are your physical neighbors. It's your people that you're driving with on the highway. Did you speed past them like they didn't matter? Or were you cool? You know, is your neighbor the person that broke down and nobody stopped for her, but you know, like God put it upon your heart to stop and help them? You know, like all those people are your neighbors. You know, your neighbors are the people that come in to meet you. That's a neighbor. You know, and we're supposed to love those people just like we love ourselves. So would you feed yourself breakfast? Well, you would. If you see somebody that's your neighbor and they're hungry, would you feed them? Well, when's the last time you fed somebody that needed it? When's the last time you put some clothes on somebody's back? When's the last time you put your hand on somebody's shoulder? You know, Christ was going to the cross, and disciples tell him, oh, don't stop for those two blind people. They're busy. All they're doing is screaming. And they screamed louder when he came by. And what did Jesus do? Did he walk by him? No, he stopped and he realized that the life that they had was precious. It was precious to them. They'd never seen, they were both blind. And they said, please stop. What do you want? He asked. And he said, what do you want? He said, I want to see. And he touched them and they were healed. He put his hand upon their shoulder. and that's what we need to do, is be like the light that, with in darkness, nobody can see, right? You go into a cave, it's completely dark, it's desolate, like you don't see. If you ever been in a big cave and had a chance to go under the earth, it's a darkness that's so absolute. Your wristwatch with a little, will glow and light the whole place up. It's that dark, and but the dark can't survive the light, right? The light, when the light shines, the darkness has no place, around light. Like, you want to be light to the world, and let your light shine, and let your light let your light be a blessing to other people. That's what it is. So that's, to me, fear is like darkness. The light is like bringing the light to the people that need the light. Like, nobody stubs their toe when it's light, like you get up and it's dark, and you stub your toe pretty easy, right? If you miss the door jam and get your toe right into it, that's the darkness. Like, you turn the light on, and then you don't hit those things, because it reflects, like it warns you, it's safe. Light's where we all want to be, but Satan's real, and he pulls us from that and points us in directions we shouldn't go, and takes us places we shouldn't go. So, we're all told to keep watch. Well, why do you need to keep watch? You need to keep watch because the struggle's real, the battle's real. We want to keep watch because it matters. If we aren't on track with where we are supposed to be, we'll be doing things we shouldn't be doing, and God wants us to be with him, ready to go. He wants to take us with him in relationship. And when we do things we shouldn't do, we break that relationship. And it's all about deeper relationship, that we want to be loving towards one another, as we've been commanded to do. Like, that's honoring your father and your mother. That's honoring God, is the number one thing, right? To honor, right? So I think that's where when you're truly honoring, what you were put here for, then that's the deeper strength, is to walk without fear. Though I walk through the valley of darkness and the shadow of death, I was not afraid, knowing that God can win your battles. We don't have to win our battles. If God's with us, then no one can be against us.
So, I got to talk about the other side of the data now.
Good, go with it. Let me hear your story about this. Had me yapping, like you're like a master communicator. You get the you get me talking, and I open up.
Hey, that's why we're here, bro. It's all about flow.
Yeah, but like that conversation's real to me.
Yeah,
like that's where the strength comes from. You asked about where you get that inner confidence from. It's from knowing that God has plans for me. God has plans for every single person listening to us right now. God has plans for God has plans for you. He gave you something upon your heart, and he wants you to understand that the world needs what you got. Yeah.
I believe that. And I receive that, and I accept that. So we have, in my mind, 8 billion people who are potentially going to see this. So that's why I was bringing that up. I'm like, in whether you're saying, and again, I'm not going to mince your words because your words are powerful. So this is how we're showing them in real time how to honor people's space, and at the exact same time receive new information. And we create like a Switzerland type effect, in metaphorically speaking, where we're like neutral. We can have a real safe space to have conversations in.
Yeah, that's a form of honor and respect as well. And going back to Bernie, our friend Bernie, who we mentioned, has talked about cooperation, and when you come together in cooperation, that's a loving form of communication. You don't let, if you're cooperating with something, somebody, you look at how can I help them? How can I get them out of this situation that they're in? Sometimes cooperation is listening. Sometimes it's being the one that's, doing the talking. That's the cooperative spirit, is to want what's best for the other. And that's that second law that Jesus laid down. It's like, love your brothers, you love yourself. Well, that's deeper cooperation, right? If I love you and you love me, we cooperate to make sure each of our needs are met. If you have what I don't have and I have what you don't have, then we share and we come together. And now we're one. One. God wants his children to play nice together.
But I gotta throw some shit in the game.
Good, throw what you got, man.
Here it comes. Right? I got to do it.
Whip it good.
Yeah, I'm jumping all in.
Okay, because I want to hear it. Let me hear it. Bring the love.
Okay, I am. I promise you. This is the part where that little thing called currency comes into exchange. So how do you? That's the rub right there. Because cooperation in its purest sense, and I'm not sitting here saying that I don't like money, because I've been an excellent receiver. I got all my Linktree stuff right now. Just buy all my stuff and buy all his stuff, right? Because I am here to sell, period. Good. Because I dare people to check out our stuff and see that it doesn't work.
Yeah. So
I dare people.
Good. You know what? You have to stand upon the rock, when you're making your pitch, you got to have a solid foundation, and you believe in what you're selling, and other people should believe you. If you don't believe you, then nobody gonna believe you. You got to believe you before anybody else gonna believe you.
Yeah.
So don't be spreading no BS, be spreading the truth. Yeah. And nobody brings it like Freddie. Yeah.
Peace. That's how we do it, though, man. And again, I got to remind them, they really got to check out this book. It's a dope book.
Hold that book up again.
There he goes. Yeah, this is a virus of the mind. Yeah.
New side, by Richard Brody.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna flip the light on. Give me a sec here. Collect your thoughts about that. Actually, start talking to that.
Oh yeah, well, I can definitely tell you this. This book right here was.
I'm here. I'm just not.
Yeah. This book is like so far ahead of its time. You have no idea. I'm probably going to say since 2007 or 8 was on my radar. Yeah, it's been about 20 plus years, and it takes one generation.
What?
The cooperative. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Wait.
Hold up that book. Hold that book so people can see. All right. Were they onto something?
I think the FBI calls that a clue, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Mind pollution, the first pollutant. Competition in all forms is the great lie. Okay, so one of the main mind viruses that Bernie talks about is from your friend that wrote that book. What's the name of the book that you?
Virus of the Mind. Virus of the Mind
by Mr. Brody, right?
Yep.
Yeah, by Richard Brody, and this is by Bernie Dorman. And all right, so we're going to do a test here. And I want you to open up that book and quote it to whatever page pops up.
Okay, quote to whatever page pops up?
Whatever page pops up, wherever your finger points.
Yep. Old Brain, New World. It's on page 82. I just flipped to it.
Okay, and read to us what it says there.
All right, so that one says, mimetics is not the only scientific idea that isn't widely known. Let me keep going. Yeah, mimetics.
Yeah, because it's not widely known. You got to explain what mimetics is to the folks out there now. So we got some context.
Yeah, well, and that's a good point. Everybody's familiar with memes. So there is a science behind the memes, and it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, because when you know the game, A tactic known as a tactic blown. It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna open up Bernie's book here.
This is so fun. How will you
And,
know? Who knew?
and Bernie says here in his book, the risk from non-venturing, discouraging entrepreneur development to tax-based decline economic instability is sufficiently large so as to seek government mandates to reduce the social services risk by passing urgent entrepreneur laws. Social risk can be reduced by tax benefited planners when entrepreneurs can apply at will via instant access to acquire better mentors, better plans featuring improved execution teams, and the development of risk capital. The rule when passing laws such as America's Job Act of 2012, our teams work so diligently upon in the U.S. Capitol is to take care to remove all barriers to entry such that dreamers can actually start up their industry. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's what that's what like wisdom was shared for people out of the two books, but they both got a brain on them being injected with what I'm assuming is see now your book shows that the stuff in there has already been put in, or and yours is loaded with like CNN and other stuff, and then it
I'm not mentioning no names.
It's printed with other stuff, and this spray is kind of pink and pure.
My job as a journalist, sir, was to just tell the news. I am, however people interpret that.
There you go.
There it is.
But look at the cover of these two books. Is that shocking?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, so we both picked up a book. Like you paid for that book. I paid for that book. I know it wasn't free.
Yeah, but this one right here, and ironically, I mean, it's from Hay House, so it's pretty good.
Yeah,
and
this one, I have no idea.
And shout out to them. And yeah, so that was, and this is 250 pages, including the index.
This is a monster thick book.
Yeah, so it's 500. It's almost 600 pages.
Yeah, this book is 587 pages.
Yeah, well, that's off. Yeah.
He says to Warren, I'm reading on the last page, it says to Warren Buffett and Bill Gates for tireless class warfare to bring charitable gifting back to economic redistribution at the top of the money pile. Facing all odds, the virus of competition breeds. Still, you're doing the virus removal work of a century. Pay it forward, boys. Okay, so he's congratulating them for what they did, I think, with taking their fortunes and turning it back to blessing people.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's got so many thank yous in here. To Tony Robbins for cutting the ribbons on the super teaching in the University of Alabama for rewriting the software for the world. Wow. One of Bernie's plans was to teach people better and use a process called super teaching. I'll explain more about that later. But to Mark Moorhead of MSA for keeping super teaching software at the cutting edge for learners of the world. So the principle behind super teaching is that the more ways that you learn something and the more at peace you can put your mind while you're learning it, the deeper you'll retain what you've learned. Ooh. So if you want to retain something deeply, have it hit your neurons from different directions. If you're going to slap the dookie out of somebody, you don't just give them a jab. You give them a jab, you slap them upside the head, you slap them up from the bottom, the top, the big wrap around the whole.
Wait a minute.
So, like they're going to remember that they met you if you hit them on multiple sides of the head at once, right? It's the same thing with your neurons in your brain. They got to be fired at from different directions in order to get the full message more long lasting. Is you got to go deeper to that, but the neurons have to fire. There's two ways you remember something. It's the intensity of the memory or the multiplication of the memory, right? That's what lays down the neural pathways in these noggins of ours, right? So in order to remember it, you got to really want to remember it to bring the intensity up, or if it was really strong, you're going to remember it. Like we don't forget pain because it hurt. It's a strong pathway got built. Oh, won't do that again. Brain says, remember that one. That's bad. It interprets it that way.
Wow.
Lays down a strong track. You're never going to forget it. Like you don't forget the pain, but also, if something comes core to you, then, you visit it again and again and again, and you don't forget that core stuff either. You forget the stuff like the brain has a sorting mechanism. It wants to get rid of everything that's garbage and wants to keep the good stuff. And the world's out there trying to teach you a lot of garbage is good stuff and feed you crap and filth and junk. And, it's up to you to use your processing powers to determine the junk from the good stuff. The covers of those two books are like knowing what's real and what's not real. Like get rid of the virus.
Yep.
Know what's legit. Jesus talks about, one of the last things he said to the disciples before he left was, beware of deception. Many, he tells them that, there will be many deceivers. Many will come in my name that won't even, be about me. They'll be false, antichrist types, like there'll be people that are going to say, but not be. You want to find the ones that are going to, say and be.
So okay, so that's an interesting point you're making up, and that you're making right there. And what I want to dovetail that with is, again, like the other side of the data, where how's that been working for us now in life? Because here's what I'm seeing. I took a shortcut from the competitive lane. Like a lot of people who know my background know that I've been trained at a super high level. I've always played at a super high level. And even I'm starting to bump into these, what they call gurus online. I'm like, guys, I don't know you. Like, it's just, so what I'm saying is just that, are you seeing a transition from the competitive model more to the collaborative model? And that's the first question. And then the second question is, how does that go into a cooperative economics model? Because that's what I'm seeing is the new trend.
I don't, I think it is a trend. And the reason it's a trend is because what wins survives, and what wins is cooperation. Like right now, the world's struggling with somebody that doesn't want to be cooperative. Well, I don't know who that is. I'm not going to mention them, but bombs are going off over people's houses because they ain't cooperating, and they both speak the same language. It'd be like one of your sons picking on the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, brothers beat the hell out of each other, right? Like that's what brothers do. Brothers have been having fights since, Cain killed Abel, right? But God would have those two brothers love each other. If he was hungry, he'd feed him. Like he wouldn't try to take advantage of them. Like we're to be loving towards one another. I don't think I answered your question good, did I?
It's okay. We took the shotgun effect. What you did was you created the landscape. Now just go a little bit deeper in that thought. Like, what do you mean by that? That's all.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, right now we just need people to love each other, more than they do. So yeah, getting back to is cooperation a trend?
Yeah, and more
100% it's a trend.
Okay, cool. And cooperative economics, because I don't think a lot of people know what cooperative economics.
Yeah, so when we think of cooperative economics, we need a system that's going to take care of people, right? If cooperative capitalism, well, when does the money flow? It's when you have something to sell, and you provide me with value with what you're selling so that I want to buy it, right? When you've made the equation fit to me, then we change funds. Then the exchange has been made. You have created a value, you've provided a value, then I provide the exchange, and then I have your value, and you have what I valued, you now have, and you can value somebody else with it. The money moves when the exchange takes place. So that's the cooperation matrix, is everybody uses the same or different, when we agree on a currency, whether it's, FRNs, or if it's, Bitcoin, or, like whatever the currency is, we agree upon that. We make our exchange in that medium. It's easier than trading chickens.
Right. And that's what I was going to say
You know,
too, because, I played a lot of poker back in the day. And
yeah,
that's the thing.
I'll
First
raise you a
thing,
chicken, and if you'll, raise me a cluck. Yeah.
right. And then I'm just like, well, cluck you too. I'm all in.
Yeah.
And I bet the
No.
farm.
Yeah, I'm betting the farm, and one of us is going to have eggs at the end of the day, and one won't. So that's the brutal truth. When you
It's
go all
true.
in, it's like you didn't even keep your seed chickens. You're going to need to do something. At least if you got two chickens, you don't have to eat them right away. You can have them
100%.
make more chickens.
Chicken management. Shout out.
But
Chicken management.
yeah, if you go all in, then you haven't kept your nest egg. So
Hey, so I have to give them a moist marketing commercial break. If it's the
please
tip,
do.
if it's the tip, it counts.
If
Next
it's a
thing.
tip, it counts. Yeah,
Let's
it's a
go.
tip, it counts. All right. Yeah. So
And that's a big tip, because again, at the end of the day, that's how we've been able to really,
yeah,
yeah,
I call that. I kind of call that stair step marketing. Like your first step is your first step, and then your next step is your next step. It's kind of like climbing the rungs of a ladder. You got to get to the first one. Got to do things in sequence. If you try to step on the fifth step from the ground, you're gonna have to take a really high jump. Maybe if you're an elite athlete, you can get that jump and kind of go from ground to step 5. But most people would hit the ladder and kind of not land properly, because it's just a skinny little rung, and they're gonna fall, and they're gonna bruise their knees, and they're gonna bust some knuckles. It's gonna hurt, right? So save the pain, you go up one step at a time. You don't just jump for the highest rung.
well,
Save some pain. So put things in order. Set your foundation, make sure that ladder's planted where you want it to go. That's most people's mistake, is they don't even put the ladder on the right wall. They're like, well, that's a shiny object up there, let me go get that one. They don't realize that the apple's not ripe yet. They get up there and, well, this wasn't what I was supposed to have. This thing's still kind of sour. It's not ready. It's not time for the harvest.
and enthusiastically going the wrong way.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got up that ladder so fast. I picked the apple.
Yep.
It's tart.
Yep.
It's not meant for food yet.
Yep.
It has to bake in the sun for for enough time, right? Like, I was young. We used to go climb crabapple trees. And the crabapple trees, they were like a real tart apple, and they were fun, like, to eat, but you had to find a big one, because that wasn't going to be quite as tart as the tiny ones.
Yeah.
You'd climb it and you'd look for the big ones, because you knew they were going to be sweeter than the small tart ones.
Wow. You just eloquently explained what I call in Thought Leader Academy the half-second step back.
The half second
step back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's exactly right. And I train my clients, it's crawl, walk, run, marathon. And there could be steps in between. But to your point, if you can't master the micro, how are you going to master the macro?
Yeah. And like, when I'm a martial art teacher, and we start with the basics, we start with the blocks, we start with the punches, we start with the foundation. This is a down block, this is an out block, this is an in block, this is a punch, this is like, we bring all the attacks out first, and you don't start people sparring right away. You get people killed or hurt. Like, you gotta have your foundation first, know your basics, and then you move on to the next. Then you start to apply. Then you work to the applications. Then you work to the integration. Putting multiple attacks together, putting multiple blocks together. That way you're prepared if something comes at you. You got what's needed. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's tie that into this model right here, because I want people to understand clearly, like what you just explained was a really operational mindset to have.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter whether it's in business and or life. It just go back and replay this and watch the brilliance of a sequence and a pattern that he's talking about, because when you get that experience and you start getting that cadence and you start getting that flow and you start getting that flywheel,
Momentum is wonderful.
right? So
Momentum's wonderful. I want to tell a story. I was headed down the street. I have a motorcycle. It's one of the hobbies that I've taken up in the last few years. And I'm going down the street. It's a busy, 280 right through the center of San Jose here where I live. And I'm going down the street and there's a big box truck in front of me. And I go to change lanes and as soon as I get around the box truck, right there in the middle of the two lanes is a big giant cardboard box covered with the wax, the kind they ship, heavy vegetables in, and I whack that thing with my motorcycle going at 80 miles an hour,
Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't have been going where I didn't see, number one for me, it's like slow my ass down. But like I
hold on,
see
wait. I've never known you to slow down, for the record.
Well, yeah, I actually do hit the brakes in life sometimes, keep me alive, But so I literally have like a half second. I do the minorest of swerves because that's all you can do in a half second, and I hear the whap, bam, and I'm still up. One of the things you have in momentum is stability. There's tremendous stability in the centrifugal force of those wheels that are turning on the motorcycle, and not much gets in the way. If you're going to hit it, you're going to stay upright to a certain degree. Like that was one thing that taught me is like momentum, has a force, and you just plow through what it is, bam, and the box exploded, and I'm past the box and I'm still up. I'm like, all right, guess I'm just gonna go to where I'm going. And I got there and made a mess of the motorcycle. It was all waxed though, so it cleaned up good, but it sure made me real nervous for a while. Nothing was hurt on the bike from cardboard box, got steel hitting it, good Harley Davidson steel, but yeah.
If you didn't have the momentum, I mean, even a couple more miles, who knows? It could have got stuck in there and could have got.
And well, it could have been worse. Yeah. What if the box had bricks in it or something? I don't know. I have no idea what that box was doing in the middle of busy freeway, but it was there and I wasn't ready for it. So shame on me. As a rider, it's up to me to have a out for every. I shouldn't be going places where I don't see. I shouldn't be going so fast that I don't have my exit strategy for wherever I'm at any time. I have to have my escape, and I was in too much of a hurry, didn't have my escape because I didn't expect to need an escape there. That's the thing when we go too fast, we can get tripped up by, the carelessness of our journey, right? Like you go too fast down a ski slope. If you're a beginner intermediate skier and you go for the Black Diamond slope, your knees might not like it, or your butt or your head or something, like you're probably going to tumble. Some people make it down on Black Diamond their first try, but not usually, like don't go for Black Diamond runs when you're a green skier,
Ooh, those are bars, bro.
don't do it.
Hey.
Like many people go down Black Diamonds, but they're the people that have done Black Diamonds before, they enjoy that, but you're a green skier, don't be doing Black Diamonds, get yourself some green experience, then you can, go blue and black.
Crawl, walk, run, marathon.
Yeah, there's a sequence, folks. Don't break the laws of the sequence, because broken laws cause pain and injury. They're laws for a reason. They're laws for a reason. Like you set up the rules so that people don't get hurt, right? They have a speed limit on that highway of 65 and I was breaking it, like for sure. Slow me down 15 miles per hour. I get that other 1/10 of a second, maybe 2/10 of a second. I missed the thing entirely, right?
Yeah.
Or I've got enough gap and I see, I slowly go around it instead of zipping around it,
Mm.
Yeah. Keep,
Wow.
like if I'd have fallen, it'd been on me, not anybody else. It wouldn't be on the person that put the box there. Maybe it was the wind taking some homeless guy's, cart for a ride. I don't know. They got street there is lined with all kinds of homeless camps. So, stuff's flying. I should have been ready for it.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be garbage. There's people that live on the side of the road there. This is California we live in today.
Yeah. So what do you think that difference is? And here's the reasons why I say that, because I'm from back east. I'm from Chester, PA. And I've been out here, but I've traveled all around the world, just like you have. And the thing about it is California is unique. It's like the seventh largest GDP.
Yeah.
So
A lot of people doing work out here.
yeah. So in your humble opinion, how does that affect like cooperative economics, competition? Because certain pockets of whether it's cultures, societies, zip codes, anything that's status driven, like people like the draw for me to California was just my own personal pain, but also the fact that it was super progressive and I knew I needed this kind of environment for me to do something different. So, but now the world is connected. You see what I'm saying? So now there's this cognitive dissonance. What's quote unquote right? What's quote unquote wrong? You see what I'm saying? Like what kind of code do you think, that's probably a better question. What kind of code do you think people should follow to like just get these basics in place that we talked about today?
I think, we have to have the right code for us, right? So, like if you make code, like, and I'm going to violate it, it's at my own risk, right? If you have a code in your life, like I tolerate this, I don't tolerate this, this is my boundary. I allow this, I don't allow this. You're going to have what you allow in your boundary, right? Like we have homelessness, rampant homelessness in California. You're down there near LA. I'm up here, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And, we have sanctuary cities. So even if they find somebody that doesn't belong here, they don't like get rid of them and bring them, to where they came from, by getting here illegally. That's a principle and it has consequences. Like the code in California is, well, we're a sanctuary city. We love people, but we create an environment that's enticing for these people. Living on that road, on the side of that road or whatever, is better than anything else that they have.
So what are your thoughts on that though? Is
Yeah.
that
So they're living on the side of the road and they're homeless. And this might seem cold hearted, but that's the reality that they've created in their life. And the decisions that they made brought them up to that point. Now, almost always, and I'm not saying it is always, but it's a relationship problem. If you were homeless or I was homeless,
well, I've been homeless, so I get it.
yeah, but it's almost always tied to the relationship issues. If you were homeless, you probably have people you could call and say, hey, can I stay with you? I'm homeless right now. And you'd probably have a place to stay. I could make any number of phone calls. Pretty sure I could have my family housed in no time at all.
Yeah.
Pretty sure, because I get along with people and I cooperate and I have a network of people that care about me. The people that are on the side of that road don't have people that care about them. They don't have people that respect them. They don't have people that they're respectful to. And it's almost always the social cost is, we have people that are, seen as rejects, right? Well, they don't have relationships, they're struggling to survive in their relationships. Therefore, they're struggling to survive in our society, and the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line is that it's a relationship problem. Like their hearts need mending, like they're stuck and they're in trouble and they don't have a way out. And this is, to them, the safest, best place to be is on the side of that road, in their little shanty tent or whatever, like unfortunately, it's brutal. It's brutal, you know, like you ask them if they really want to be there. No, I'm pretty sure they'd rather be someplace nicer. But a lot of them, it's like, you know what? I'm free. Tells me what to do here. I got my deal going on, you know, like I got my methods to this madness, you know. And fortunately, in California here, it's not like where you came from in Philadelphia or me in Chicago. You know, there's no homeless problem in Chicago in the wintertime because it's sub-zero temps. And unless you're, you know, outfitted like Edmund Hillary going to the, you know, top of Nepal's mountain, you know, you're not going to survive that winter very well, you know. And believe me, the homeless people don't have that good gear, you know.
Yeah.
They don't have those, you know, spacesuits that protect them from that. So naturally people want to come to a warmer climate, you know, the southern areas, or, you know, the West Coast here where it's, you know, where you're not going to freeze to death in the winter time, you know.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you said earlier, because I know with me, it was the third option. And here's what I mean by that.
Yeah, there's more options.
Well, for me, it was more of a knowing problem versus a doing problem. I didn't have the information legit.
Okay.
So,
So
you know,
for you it wasn't about doing, you weren't afraid of the work, it was
no,
just you didn't know which, you didn't, you know, you were happy to climb a ladder, you just didn't know which,
yeah,
where do I put this ladder? I have no idea where the food is. I have no idea where the, I have no idea where the, you know, where the ripe apples are, you know, like we talked about apples earlier. It's like you'd have put it against anything that looked good, right? You know,
yeah. I mean,
this is
and
okay.
look, I want to. I literally had to take a shortcut to get the right answers. I took a shortcut all the way to the top of the planet, short of NASA, you know, and I got the answers, and I've been working my way backwards.
Okay.
That was my
So
26-year shortcut.
yeah, you got put on a different path.
But I had to volunteer something though, and but in exchange for
You
that,
gave up your liberty and freedom for a period of time in order to be trained in the ways of, you know, the ways of the world, right? Like you signed on the dotted line, like you'll have my services if you teach me this, you'll have my services, you know. My son did that, my daughter did that, you know. Got, you know, my daughter's in the army, she's studying to be a doctor, but you know, she pledged that she would give years of service in order, you know, she's going to become a doctor, they're going to pay for it, she's going to give them years of service as a physician for the army, you know. Like that's, you know, and she figures she'll come out ahead, you know, like that's why she did it. And you know
that's
that,
why I did it. It was an
yeah,
ROI like none I've ever gotten before in my life.
that's right, you got trained in methods. You, now, did you have any clue you were going to do that before you joined the military, or they just pegged you?
I knew exactly what I wanted to do in exchange for that commitment.
You did. Okay. Okay.
Because I was talking, it's so funny because Staff Sergeant Russell, like I literally walked into the
Hey, you
recruit.
were telling me you were, you know, you were mentioning like the other day, you said you had like sales crews of people that were,
Yeah, there were sales, bro. That's
yeah,
what we
you had,
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's just say you had like if you had to put these people in a room and it, you know, and it had something to do with survival, these were the people that were going to walk out.
All day long.
Right, like you had a team make it up of, you know, survivors, you know, these weren't office, you know, these weren't the office cooler types, no, these were the survivors, like they do what it takes to win,
Yep.
you know. And you had like crews of these people that you were handling. So when, I guess when the military saw that, they're like, there's some kind of gift this guy's got, because like we don't do that, you know, like he knows something we don't, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, like you have a special way of relating with people, and you bring that big smile, and it negates whatever harm people had intended you, you know. It's like,
As I walk up, people are like, "You're not the average Marine." I'm just like, I'm supposed to be.
yeah,
This is how I've been trained.
yeah,
Period. And I haven't deviated from it. So
yeah,
that's to me though. Again, going back to that big, and I'm going to call it for what it is. There was a huge disparity of information because I could not find it. I had got accepted to a U of Penn. I got accepted to Villanova, Westchester, Liberty University. I wanted to do cooking, Johnson and Wales, but I ultimately started out at Loyola College, and I went there for international finance, and I was a member of ISIC and all this other stuff. But then I stopped because I was just like,
So
I
is
don't.
Loyola, is Loyola College the one in the Chicago area?
Yeah, there's four of them. So the
Okay.
one I'm talking about now it's in Loyola University, but it was Loyola College when I went through.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I came straight from Chester, and it was just like, you know, it was whiplash again. I was just like, I came in there with my cross colors and my high top fade and everything else, and I had my hair was so long you could tie it to your nose, and I was that guy. I had my orange cross colors coming through. It was just like, yo, and they were like, I'm like at a Jesuit school. They're like,
You're here. Why? Yeah. It's that culture thing. And yeah. So
it was like a fart in church, bro. It's just like,
yeah. Yeah.
so I had a lot of cognitive dissonance coming through. Like I did, it was just always whiplash, always whiplash, always whiplash. In this lane right here, to me, there's unnecessary whiplash. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
That part right there. Because it's like there's no reasons people should be struggling to earn a simple basic income because they don't have the basic fundamental tools of like, this is how you do it, like, period. Like, go do this, go do that. I mean, that's what I was trained in the military to do. There was a cadence, there was a pattern, there was a flow. So we're going to reveal it because I'm tired, I'm done. I'm like, look, a couple of days ago, I broke that formula: problem, agitation, solution, right across his neck. I'm like, that's broken. Let's go to the next thing. Because there's a certain principle of a person that you have to be in order to identify true problems. You know, you've got to be built a certain way in order to say that that's a problem, because there's a certain architecture that you have to think through to really break things down. And Richard Nixon was a good example of that. You know, I went over to the library because it's not too far from where I live. And there's literally a decision-making sequence that he was using for some of the toughest problems in the world. It's right there.
Yeah. And, I grew up in the Nixon era. I remember President Nixon. I was, in 1968, I was 7, in 72, when he wasn't, when he resigned, I would have been 11, so I was a young boy. And I thought Richard Nixon was a pretty good president. I liked, you know, uh, what he stood for. I remember the Watergate hearings and, the way that, that went down and stuff. And, you know, I didn't quite understand it all at that age, but I knew when he resigned, and he wasn't the president anymore. And then we had Jerry Ford, Jerry Ford pardoned him when he came in, and that was that. We were in a new era.
What was that time all about? Isn't that when it, like,
Well,
yeah.
like I think that time was about the Vietnam War. Like that war was wicked bad. Like we had lost, I think, we'd lost a lot of men over there. And the generation I grew up with, was angry about war, and a lot of people were, a lot of lives were lost, and a lot of people questioned whether or not we should be doing what we were doing over there. And yeah, I think, I remember, every night on the news, they tell you how many people we lost. We lost 20 people today in, some little town in, Vietnam or whatever. Like you'd hear the reports. And as a little kid, it was like, all right, well, I guess that's what it is. You didn't know the people, so you didn't personally mourn for them, but you realized that this is pretty serious. Like that it came into your living room each night. That they would tell you, they'd tell you that every night. It was a period of time where a lot of people were questioning the way things were set up. Um, who allows this to happen? And you had the Henry Kissingers of the world that were doing what they did, and then you had Kissinger was in he was the Secretary of State for Nixon, but it was just a troubling time. A lot of people were going through a lot of stuff, music, the cultural revolution in the 60s, created what we had in the 70s, kind of burped into the 80s and bebopped into the 90s and came into the 2000s, and people were kind of doing their own thing, and now, we haven't seen really pretty bloody wars for a while now. Now, last month we got one, and the world hasn't really seen a bloody war with, internet media being what it is, so we're finding out that bloody wars don't work,
Yeah.
Personal, the public opinion right now is, I would say, 9 or 10 to 1 against, the Russian invasion, at least, I don't know anybody that's, in support of it, really. We see it's been framed as one side is the aggressor, one side is, being attacked, irrationally. So from that standpoint, I don't know anybody that supports it. I'm sure there's people in Russia that support it, because they've only heard one side. There's probably, why did it happen? Well, I think Russia was fearful that they'd have, a force right on their borders that was friendly with the West, and they weren't ready for that kind of acceptance. They weren't ready to accept that, so they took their large military and attacked. I don't think they expected the worldwide condemnation for that, though. I really don't. And I'm still really shocked about that situation because of the, it's a civil war to a certain degree. Like, there can't be, I would think every Russian family knows somebody in Ukraine. They speak the same language, it'd be like California fighting with, Colorado or something, like, California is way bigger than Colorado, but I know people that live in Colorado, and people in Colorado know people that live in California, and sometimes they got the same surname, like, I'm going to fight you because you're in Colorado and I'm here. And like, I just don't like that fighting. I don't know if anybody does like fighting. I don't think you're going to find anybody, I'm in favor of war, but I do know a lot of people are like, if you try to attack me, all kind of bad things going to happen to you. You know what I mean? I know
I
a lot of
do.
people feel like that. You try to attack me, all kind of bad's going to happen to you. And I got that feeling.
Yes. So
Try
I
to
guess,
attack me, I'm going to defend.
right.
You know,
So again, let me be the other side of the data, smiling face.
go to it. Bring.
Because I've been out there. I get it. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like it's not necessary. Okay. So it's just
yeah.
like, to me, again, I have intentionally tuned everything out this year, because when I first got off those airplanes traveling and facilitating at a super high level, I said, I'm gonna show y'all everything. And I did in this room right here 2 years ago. Okay. This room 2 years ago, this is all we talked about. My New Room Collective, if once we start distributing it out. Okay.
Yeah.
So
your history is describing the current history. Yeah.
I just said, look, everything that's going on right now, I called to the T, and then I almost got deplatformed. So I had to, make amends. And the next thing you know, I'm rocking positively again. Not only that, but, and shout out for, I had a dedicated marketing expert and all of this stuff, right? So I am proof positive that if you flip a certain way of thinking, what's that?
You're flipping, going a certain way. That's a green light. Go.
If you start flipping into a different way of thinking, what it allowed me to do was discover my own version of humanity. That's what happened. And then I learned how to mind my own business, period. Because I don't care. I just want to live my life. I want to walk this earth, do what I have to do, and just touch people and help everybody out. That's how I think. I've always thought that way. I've never not thought that way. My boy Dude, who's also with the Moist Marketing crew, he'll tell you, like, there's not a time when we didn't even not know each other. It's just been that long that these connections I've had. So why is there so much disparity in the world? Why is there so much angst in the world? Like I played a cadence on my timeline the other day, And everybody was like, yo, that's nostalgic. I'm like, man, I'm I was the drum captain. I want somebody to return the cadence back to me. Like, let's go. Like, we got this. And then here you are, the magical unicorn. Hold on. Here's Carl. Hey, Fred. I've been thinking. And here we are.
Yeah. Here we are. Blessings to you, my friend.
Yeah. So I'm real super excited about what this turns into, because we ain't planning. It's just happening. And I think,
yeah, we started the conversation not knowing where it would take us, but it took us where we were supposed to go.
100%. And then people are going to want to contact me, so I have everything set up for us, so we can answer any questions that they have. Like I told you before, I will facilitate that and field that. So whatever else you want to say, bro, we can keep going. I just wanted to say, single-handedly, this is a very important conversation that connected with me completely differently, because I've done a lot of growing too since the last time you saw me. And one of the biggest things that I had to grow into was really, and shout out to my boy Michael for really coaching me up on this. I thought everybody knew all the stuff that I did, bro.
Oh, isn't it strange how we take our gifts for granted?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and I want to apologize. I broke some eggs along the way. I wasn't trying to do it.
I had, so my wife had surgery this week, and, I'm this hyper productive guy that goes and does stuff, right? I'm a designer. I build things at work, and, so I drop her off, and she's, in surgery, and she's at the hospital. There's nothing I can do. So I go home to work. Right. And, like usually my work just flows. I start and finish, and in between is magic. Right. Well, the magic didn't play. Right. When I got the stress of my wife under the knife, I had nothing, like it just, I accomplished about 5 to 10% of what I would typically accomplish in that work session. Right. Like it was historically slow for me. And it was kind of a window into how lucky I really am. Usually the work flows. I set my mind to a task, and then I go about solving that task, and it gets done. That's typically how it works, right? But when you're stressed and your mind's on something else and you're not focused, well, then that kind of breaks that cycle, right? Of, like your mind isn't able to bring to bear, like the processing engine isn't working when you're stressed. And I think that's, we talked about homelessness earlier, right? And a big part of that is the processing engine isn't working the way it's supposed to. Like when you're in a stressful situation, you're not thinking straight, right? Like if you're in hand-to-hand combat, the first thing they teach you is to, go for the eyes, or go for some kind of a point where the person is only going to be able to think about that one thing. I just got struck right in the nose, like when you get smacked in the face, all you think about is your face. You forget about the fact that there's another attack coming and you need to be ready for it, right? No, like I got hit in the face. I need to recover from that before I do something else. And the advantage goes to the attacker that hit in the face, because, well, he knows it's going to cause a response, right? So bang, got hit in the face. Most people get hit in the face, they're not ready to block another punch. So they get hit in the face again. And then it's over pretty soon. Well, the key to not getting hit in the face is to be ready. But if your engine, like in between the ears isn't working right, then it's not protecting the body, right? Your mind protects the body protects the mind. You short circuit, you're not using your faculties the way you need to, then you're not ready. We're called to be ready. We gotta be ready. I wasn't ready, like I wasn't ready for that feeling that when my wife was in surgery. I wasn't ready. I thought I'd get stuff done. I was mistaken. I slept. I I had a terrible headache that day. I was all stressed out. Next morning, she comes home. She's fine. She sleeps. I sleep. Next morning, I get up. I'm working fine again. But for that moment in time, like I wasn't there. It wasn't happening. Like my mind was not ready to do what I'm usually doing. Like I didn't have what I usually have. And it makes me appreciate what I usually have. Like being able to bring, my full mind into what I'm doing. I solve really hard problems. I like solving hard problems, but when you got hard problems that distract you from the problem solving, you're not going to be solving those problems. And I think a lot of people are stuck in distraction and they're stuck. I was stuck this week. I'll admit it, be the first one to admit it, but it gave me a glimpse into the reality that other people are in. Like you can't get your thoughts together if you got stuff you're struggling with.
Yeah. Yeah. And brother, thank you so much, because you already know you've always been in my prayers, and just totally amazing. And I've been going through the same thing through on my side. So it's something about that heart of what you do. And I just admit it's just like, yes, this is painful. Yes, this hurts.
Oh yeah.
Because she's my everything. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I've been married, close, we'll be celebrating our 29th anniversary this year. It's a lot of years together. Uh, we've got 4 children, that's yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful.
You know,
And I the only thing I have that's like that is my gold Buddha. It's been all around with me, right here.
We got our little mementos around. You and I got, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna share mementos around here, bro. I think that's gonna be super dope. And
Oh yeah. So
yeah.
grab something off your desk to show the people.
All right, right now, right here.
Yeah.
My
I got a power supply. Look at this. See? Isn't this dope? Look, it's got a light on it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so sleek.
It's a Jackie. It's a Jackie. You just plug in and charge your phone off this thing. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
I got one more for you. This was for my monitor for my puppers.
Oh, okay. Got that. Oh. I got something for my puppies.
Oh yeah. Don't leave home without them.
That's right. This is part of being a responsible dog owner in our community. This is what makes for happy neighbors.
Yes.
Like this is the reason that I can walk my dog in the neighborhood without somebody pulling a shotgun out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It gets real.
Yeah. Like this is what makes this, possible. Like
there you go.
Because we don't leave our crap where it doesn't belong.
Yeah. Right? And you know what makes this possible right here?
That's right. That's right.
Power of the mastermind. So
yeah, you gotta have the money. Money's got to be working.
Hey, so you know what? We're gonna have the mindful, meditative money moment.
There you go. Gotta have
that will be now in Thought Leader Academy.
All right, there we go. The coin of the realm. And
here's the cool thing about it. This one's really hard to find because they have like, do you see where it's at? It's 9s on the front and back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and here's another one. Same thing. 9s on the front.
So you hunt for the money with the 9s on it. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
I gotta pull out my nipple.
That gives you the awareness. So you know what this is?
It looks like something off of Star Trek, bro. What is that?
No, this isn't off Star Trek. This is a tuner.
Oh, for your guitar?
Well, it tells you what the tune is. So right now we see that I'm speaking a lot of A, B, C, D. But if you go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
What? I've never seen that before.
It's a guitar tuner. It tunes anything with it, but it tells you what frequency there is that this thing's hearing.
You just sung that and then it went straight to that.
Well, it's gonna be where you're talking, like my normal voice B, C range, D range, C, D, E, but
Wow.
you go high and it's different.
That is amazing. I've never see back in the day when my dad used to do it.
He had the ear.
Yeah.
I'm not that good. So I rely on technology. I bought a guitar with a
Oh,
tuner in it so I
well,
can
what
actually tune it
and
because
the
I
thing
don't know.
that's and the thing was about when he was going professional, he would stay just tuning that one string for like hours, making sure that it was perfect. I mean, that's the kind of mind. He used to write music and all that stuff. I have to, I guess I have that in me. He wrote, and I'm a writer. I do a lot of other stuff, as you know, but it's just
No.
like it's something about really getting it in your DNA. And that's what I was getting back into the other side of the data because I didn't have it. I knew that if I had the drive, I had the desire, I had the determination. I'm not a slacker. I'm just like, yo, I do slack, but I'm not a slacker. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, because again, that's what these tools were meant for. But if I'm not even aware of them, like when I used to go on SEPTA, the buses, like we used to go to 69th Street. There's a lot of stuff I used to do just to move around. And I was looking for that information when I was on the subway
Oh, yeah, yeah.
or on the bus. I'm like, I'll just give it out. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, because everybody needs to be put up on game. I think everybody can do this. I think and that's what I firmly believe because I've done it. The problem is that it's no different than when I was in a car game and they make finance and insurance so hard in that game. I'm like, you're a high paid clerk. Like, let's be clear about this. I don't care. You can say whatever you want. They can say no at any point in time. You're selling air. So good luck on that. You need my skills to be able to get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I did for years, but I didn't get a shot. That was my point. I didn't get a shot. Even when I got to that point selling cars, I literally got out of the car business, became a loan officer for like 2 years, and it was on 70% commission. So I ate what I killed, just to learn it and then get back into the game. And that's when I crushed it.
Because then you understood the pain points that people were having.
Boom.
You could alleviate the pain, and alleviating pain made you more valuable.
Yeah, I
You
was
know?
like, if I can do it for a house, I know I can do it for this.
Yeah. So,
you know,
that's a really key point, is when you alleviate the pain for somebody, they're willing to pay you for that. So think about that. So folks out there listening to us, you have value for people where you can stop their pain, where you can do something that's going to be for them that's less painful than what they already have. You can position yourself in a way as the pain reliever. People will buy that. Like when people aren't going to feel the pain that they're feeling, you're going to be able to, if you can cohesively, clearly explain that, how you will get rid of the pain that they will have or the perception of a future pain, then they're going to be more than happy to part with their dollars to save the pain. So
provided that they can actually do it. Now we have to add that
yeah,
little
yeah,
caveat to it
yeah.
because that's the problem with the current marketing
Oh, if it's
that I'm
all
seeing.
promise, if it's all promise and no delivery, then like you said, you're selling air and you're not being an ethical dealer, like you're not ethical. If you promise and you don't deliver, then um, your brand will suffer,
Yep.
and it will suffer irreparably. In this day and age, if your brand suffers, it stays suffered for a long time. It doesn't recover, for a long time. You have to do a lot of right to counteract a little bit of wrong. So don't do the little bit of wrong in the first place. Just find the right path. If you're truly helping people out of their pain zone, people pay for that. They'll pay you big time for that.
Yeah. And I want to be super clear on that. I'm not saying specifically any dealers. And when I say sell air, what I mean by that
Yeah, when I say dealer, it doesn't mean auto
product.
dealer. It just
Yeah.
means somebody with a product to sell.
Yeah.
They have a deal to offer. That is a dealer.
Boom. You just
All
broke it.
right.
You just broke it right there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everybody's a dealer. Like, what are you dealing? What are you
Yeah.
wheeling
Yeah.
and
You're a
dealing?
dealer. You market your services or your products. You are a dealer of, some form, some form of value for others. It could be information. It could be physical things. It could be it could be even future air, it could be future promises, insurance is a promissory note for a future event that didn't happen, but you're selling it, you're selling the fact that they believe you enough that you would cover what you say you're going to cover. If you're selling insurance, you better have a pretty good brand. Otherwise, if they hear just one person didn't get what they were supposed to get when they were insured by you, then you're not going to be selling a lot of insurance. Like you better deliver what you said you would, or your brand will suffer. Like nobody's going to insure from the "I didn't get paid by these guys when the event happened" guy. you know no, it's going to be
All promises.
it's going to be like, yeah, they came through and they promised, they did what they said they do.
Yeah.
I'm still with my insurance company 25 years later, 30 years later, because every time something happened, they stepped up and they took care of it the way they promised they'd take care of it. So I'm still in the farm. Yeah, like
That's why you're so dope. I love you
I
so
did not leave the farm, because the farm, the farm provided the right state when it was needed. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I love about our conversation so far, bro, is
What's that?
is the range of it. It's
It goes
very,
everywhere,
yeah,
doesn't it?
the flow is nice though, man. This is nice dankness that we're doing, man. So if you think that we've missed anything so far,
I think we put some nuggets out there of gold, precious light, like that's been part of our conversation. It's a happy Sunday. We've been at this for a bit here, an hour and a half. I think it's time we close it.
oh shoot. Let's
90 minutes, a pretty long session. I don't know how many people are going to get to listen to it, but they will get the gold.
Yeah. So I yeah,
And we got to save some for the next time. So we'll maybe we should close it out and tell people to be well.
yeah, seriously, be well. Me and Carl are here for you. You got
Yeah.
a friend in us, and I really mean that.
Yeah, one thing, like, so we had a good conversation. What was most important in the conversation to you? Like, of all the things we talked about, like what for you like resonated is like, that's probably something people really need to know, you know.
Yeah, I think, and I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for asking me that. For me, it really boils down to the fact that I know that you were listening to understand versus listening to respond.
Okay.
That was the biggest one. In order for us to have that happen, we had to set a micro code that we would be able to talk and really have this range of conversation. And we did it very smooth and very organically.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
it was very,
Okay.
it wasn't clunky. There were things that I didn't understand at the time, but I instead of me just jumping in,
Mhm.
I let you complete your thought, and
Yeah.
you did
Yeah.
close it. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because some people just think differently. So I was practicing my own preaching, which is to have second step back. And I was just like, okay. And it allows me to really see you, if that makes sense. Like you're sharing with me the core essence of who you are. And we're able to be vulnerable in front of 8 billion people as a result of it. And we had a really amazing conversation. This is one of the best that we've, in my opinion, have ever had. We've had some conversations, but
Yeah.
as you were learning me and I'm learning you, and then we connect, and then you show me, what I'm doing right now, so it's that kind of connection that me and you have in all of our conversations that led up to us wanting to do this. And that to me is the biggest takeaway, because that's a lot of trust involved with that.
Yeah. This is the first blog I think this is the first. Yeah, it definitely the first where it's just been a wide open format, like nothing's off the table, like the nothing off the table format was fun,
Yeah.
like it was a good conversation.
And we said it in a way where we still can stay on the platform. We're being mindful of like how we believe it. But more importantly, when I was saying the other side of the data, that to me was giving our brain stretch marks, because I had to start thinking about your side of the data. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that way
Yeah.
until now. You thought
Yeah.
so. That was my biggest takeaway from a super high level. From the heart, you're a diamond.
Thank you, sir.
Internally
Thank you.
flawless. I really appreciate you for
Yeah.
who you are.
Well, you're gold in my life, man. Yeah, you're gold, like relationship gold. That's that when we had the conversation about relationship, like that was the insight for me that I didn't have before. Like I thought about it, but to me, like, talking about, the trouble zones people get into, a lot of times it's the relationships or the trouble zone. Like they're not they're not respecting, or they're not being respected, like that's the essence of relationship, is the respect factor for each other and wanting to come together, you having the patience to listen me out, me having the patience to listen you out,
And
like
I think that's why I didn't feel like it was like 90 minutes. I had no idea.
yeah, time passes, when you're among friends, time passes, and it's like when you're working on something you enjoy, the time's over before you realized it, deep.
Well, much love, my brother.
Yeah, deep love, man.
Be
Well,
talking to you later.
God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
God bless you too. And kisses and hugs. You know what I mean?
Hang with people you care about.
Yes. And love the ones you're with.
Amen. All right. God bless you, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Peace, 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 peace.
2 + 2, baby. Yeah.
Let's go.